Welcome to Are You Quizzing Me? I am Vineet Nair with my co-host Aditya Kashyap. This is a quizzing trivia podcast show. Join us as we dive deep into history, science, pop culture, and so much more. Let's get quizzing.
And welcome back to episode 86 of Are You Quizzing Me? Our regular listeners, you know it when the intro is in my voice. Vineet is not around, so it's Aditya today at the helm of the ship, reluctantly but trying his level best. And joining me on this journey is Hari Krishna. HK, welcome back as always. I feel like every 10 episodes you have to make an appearance, and that's pretty much what's keeping our boat from sinking. Because if HK wasn't around, we would have long lost the ability to do regular episodes. So thank you, HK, for stepping in one more time.
So I was about to say I am inevitable, and I was thinking whether I should say like Thanos or the Delhi pollution, but seems like both might be, good ways to describe that. I don't know, for some reason I've been majoring a lot of these. I think today's New York Times mini crossword also had, Benjamin Franklin's famous quote, nothing is certain in life except death and taxes. There's a lot of certainties. Nothing is certain except Vineet's periodic illness and my appearance on there.
Yeah. Vineet is a hardworking man. I perhaps am not as much, so I rarely fall sick. Vineet, on the other hand, juggles a bunch of other things in life. So we shall allow him his well-deserved break once in a while, and we will do an episode, just the two of us. So, HK, are you ready?
I don't know what he's cooking up in his pathology lab, So I hope he's fine and hope he gets better soon and hope he doesn't unleash anything.
Are you implying that Vineet has a Heisenberg situation happening? He's cooking up drugs.
All I'm hoping is that Goa doesn't feature on the world map like Wuhan did in 2020. So that's all I'm hoping for at this stage.
Oh, no. Vineet is an ethical man. If anything, he's just cooking up fun trivia for us. So we shall await his return for the next episode. But meanwhile, we have a great episode in store for you, dear listener. Without further ado, let's just get to it. HK, I'm going to go with the first question. And I have a few questions that hopefully tickle your trivia bone. I am going to do what I've done in our previous episode also. I think that was the last time I did this. I'm going to do the format of a question where I mention significant events that have happened in a specific year, and we have so far stuck to 20th century, so I'm going to do that this time as well. A year in 20th century, I'm going to mention the events. At any point, if you have made a guess, stop me, or I'll finish the list and then you can make an educated guess. So let's begin. American President Harry Truman announces the development of the hydrogen bomb.
Okay, it's the 1950s. Truman was president between 1945 to make the war end. And then I think Eisenhower, I can actually work backward for this. So, I'm going to just throw out a number already, 1952.
Okay. I will continue with the clues. Jonas Salk announces that he has successfully tested the polio vaccine.
Okay.
So he had tested it.
Okay.
The clinical trials had not begun yet.
Okay. Then maybe it could be late 40s as well.
Francis Crick and James Watson's discovery of the double helix structure of DNA is published in Nature magazine. Pretty iconic moment, as it were.
Yeah.
Two more iconic moments. Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay are the first to reach the summit of Mount Everest.
Isn't this 53?
I don't even want to pretend like you have not hit the answer already. It is 1953. HK, I don't know how you do this, man. It's insane to me. I would struggle so hard. Like, I'm so glad I'm the one posing this question because I would struggle so hard. Honestly, if you just said Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay, I would be like a 40s, 50s, like somewhere there, a whole 20-year period. And you narrowed it down to 1 year very instantly. I love it. The coronation of Queen Elizabeth II in Westminster Abbey happened in 1953 as well.
Yeah, 53.
Just a few more interesting things that happened that year. Hugh Hefner published the first edition of Playboy magazine. Do you know who featured as the first centerfold?
Marilyn Monroe.
Marilyn Monroe, of course. Yes, Marilyn Monroe was there. And as always, people who were born in the same year always blows my mind. Tony Blair,
Okay.
Xi Jinping,
Okay.
Benazir Bhutto.
Damn.
Three people on the political front, the global political front. at various times. Hulk Hogan, Pierce Brosnan, and Kim Basinger. So we had a few celebrities, some political leaders, all born in the same. It's always Pierce Brosnan and Xi Jinping are the same age, just literally a month apart. Xi Jinping is June 15th and Pierce Brosnan is May 16th. So Pierce Brosnan is less than a month older than Xi Jinping. I love it. Okay, so happening here and very well done. Can't be anything but impressed at that skill. So your turn. Go for your question.
So since again it's on very short notice, I'm going to give a shout out first to this another quiz league that I'm doing. This one is called the Fundesliga Quiz League, and the entire premise of this quiz league is it's a little different from your typical online quiz leagues. It's a group thing. The format is called Word Smash. So the format is a very interesting format. Basically, there are two questions, and what you will notice is that the answer of the first question will smash into the next question, which means it will have three or more letters in common with the next question. I'll demonstrate with the sample question, or actually that could be the first question, which I think is a relatively easy one, especially for someone like Adi to crack.
Okay.
And given I know Vineet especially has those moments where he's like, I try my best to fool. I'm not going to even pretend to try to fool Adi. I'm sure he's going to get it like instantly, and hopefully that clears up the format as well. And then we can go for some slightly tougher questions.
Pressure. Let's go.
The first part is in Rang De Basanti, when DJ, of course, Amir Khan, was rehearsing for the reenactment of a historic scene to be directed by Sue, Alice Patton, the actress. He mentioned to a kid that he will rob the train while eating the famous kebabs from the place. He was referring to the delectable the place is famous for and the famous train robbery. Which place? So that is question number one. Question number two is the main reason this change happened on 24th May 2011 was to better reflect the region's cultural and linguistic identity. It was done to conform to the language's correct pronunciation and transliteration. The demands for the change had originally come from civil society. What was the older name?
So I know the first answer is Kakori.
Okay.
Kakori train robbery and Kakori kebabs. And because you said three letters in common, I'm guessing the last three letters, so ORI, which gets me to Odia, I'm assuming. Orissa.
So Orissa.
Yeah.
What is the older name? Because the question asked for the older name, so Orissa. So that's the example. So Kakori smashes into Orissa, and you have the two answers here.
So let me clarify. Will it always be the last three letters, or will it be any three letters in?
No. It'll be the last three or four or five or six letters potentially.
Got it.
But that's the, and it'll always be the first letter. So it'll be like Kakorisa. This is the combined answer.
Kakorisa. I love it. Nice. That was a very good format. I'm looking forward to the tougher questions. So before we get to the tougher ones, I will hit you with my second question for this episode. HK, you are a musician. You are also somebody who probably listens to a lot of music. I'm assuming classical and Western classical music as well. Do you know what the current standard or the current agreed concert pitch is? The pitch that is agreed by almost every concert that performs. What pitch is, and what does it mean for actually to begin with? Do you know what a concert pitch is?
I mean, my vague understanding is like, again, in Indian classical music, it's slightly different, but I think there's something like a 440 hertz was what I traditionally recall as being like some standard pitch, which is I think A4 or something like that is considered to be 440 hertz. I don't know whether I'm thinking along the right lines here.
Perfect. Yeah, that is exactly what concert pitch is. So concert pitch is basically the pitch reference to which a group of musical instruments are tuned for a performance. So every musical instrument has a different tuning if they need to.
Yeah.
And to perform in a concert, they all need to be tuned to the same pitch. And ISO defines the international standard pitch as, you said very exactly, A440, which is 440 hertz is the frequency of the A above middle C. So that is exactly what you said. I don't know how you knew that so perfectly. It's insane to me. You know what? People listening to this podcast often do wonder that do we prepare answers beforehand? And it's your fault, HK. I blame you and Vineet also. Both of you are just too good at this. It's a bit unbelievable. But yes, you were right. 440 hertz, the A above C. Great, you got that. So actually, the question is more interestingly, they struggled with this problem of the rising pitch or the rising concert pitch over the years. I'll tell you why this happened. because initially all the concerts, or rather any group performing together, would use the organ, the church organ,
Yeah.
as its main tuning.
It's the base frequency. So basically, typically you always need like one constant, like something that is like the standard, and then everything else you can do relative to it.
Exactly.
So you always needed that one note to set everyone to the same standard.
Could not have summed it up better. Lovely. So yes, so they used to do that using the church organ. As the church organ basically lost its prominence in orchestras and concerts, they started deciding on various different other notes, and to standardize this over the years, there were multiple agreements that, oh, it should be this or that, and it was in a range of 374 to 567 hertz. So it was a huge range, almost 200 hertz apart. Over the years, what was also happening was orchestras were tuning higher and higher as concert halls became larger and larger. The reason being, in a large room, lower frequency notes would travel further and higher frequency notes would be absorbed. So the high notes would sound dampened and the whole orchestra would sound dull. To compensate, the orchestra would tune higher and higher to achieve a brighter sound. The downside of this was that singers were ending up straining their voices a lot, because opera singers were affected as they were trying to sing classical pieces that were originally written for a lower frequency. And now, because the tuning had gone higher, they had to sing at a much higher pitch. The strain on singers got the attention of the French government and eventually led to, before 440 hertz was agreed to, which was later, it led to the standardized tuning at 435 hertz. When did this standardize this is my question. So all of this leads you to just one question. When did this standardize?
If you ask French and standardization, there's typically only one period where a lot of standardization happened. It's either 1789 with the revolution or Napoleon. So I would say, like, it's in that period basically.
You would be wrong. You would be wrong. It's in the 20th century.
20th century.
Yeah.
And is it a year that is well known for other reasons as well, or is it typically just
Significantly so. Significantly so. And that's the reason I asked this question, because just this random coincidence, or I guess, I don't know, this happenstance in history was just too good to miss up on.
In the 19th century, you said?
In the 20th century.
20th century. Okay. Is it with the Olympics by any chance? Was it in 1900 that they standardized this?
No, not the Olympics, no.
Okay. Any other hints as to the year? Like, why will the year, like, is there anything in the question to clue me to the year, or is it just one of those things that?
Not necessarily. So I'll actually give you a little bit more of context here. There was an 1885 conference. So in the 19th century, there was a conference in Vienna which established this standard. In Italy, Austria, Hungary, Russia, Prussia, Saxony, Sweden, and Württemberg. This standardization was later included in another document in the 20th century, where it became more widely adopted. So I'm asking you, which one did it lead to the wider adoption of in the 20th century?
Oh my God. Is it by any chance the Treaty of Versailles?
Ooh, very well done. It is the Treaty of Versailles in 1919, which formally ended World War I.
World War I.
Was also the document that standardized concert pitch at 435 hertz. Eventually changed to 440, as HK had already mentioned. But 435 hertz, the first proper standardization, basically forcing Germany to come on board for some reason and be like, hey, you guys better not wage any more wars. And also 435 hertz.
Yeah, clearly they were wrong on one count at least. So
yeah, on one of those counts they were definitely wrong, probably both. But so the standardization of concert pitch was widely adopted for the first time in the Treaty of Versailles in 1919, which included Convention of 16th and 19th November 1885 regarding the establishment of a concert pitch is set to 435 hertz. I thought this was just a very, very funny coincidence. I don't know why they included. I've actually tried searching for it and I have no idea. I couldn't find any reason that they would have done this in Treaty of Versailles of all reasons. But yeah. Then finally in 1939 is when they set the concert pitch to 440 hertz. Maybe that's the reason Germany went to war. I don't know.
Maybe. My aria doesn't sound right was the reason, justification for Poland invasion, probably.
Hitler was just an artist at heart.
Like, he was clearly,
Truly, yeah.
truly,
In many ways.
in many ways.
On that, just to clarify, very, very sarcastic note,
Yes.
HK, I hand the baton to you. Go for it. Your next question.
So again, another word smash question. So let's see how quickly you crack this one.
Mhm.
Okay. Which company traced its origin to 1865 when the mining engineer Frederick Idestam established a groundwood pulp mill on the banks of the Tamarkovsky Rapids in the town of Tampere in what was then part of the Russian Empire? This is question one. Okay.
Mhm.
Maybe question two you'll be able to crack faster this time. What is the surname? So it's the important thing. The surname is the part that smashes, right? Of the person who attained critical acclaim directing the Coker trilogy, Close Up, The Wind Will Carry Us, and The Taste of Cherry, which was awarded the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Festival that year. Taste of Cherry was awarded in 1997.
What is the trilogy's name?
Koker, Coker trilogy, between 1987 and 1994. Close Up was made in 1990. Another famous movie of this person was The Wind Will Carry Us in 1999. The Taste of Cherry in 1997. Not ringing any bells?
Yeah, I think you said that I would probably crack the second part first, but no, this is surprising. Like, I usually consider myself a cinephile. So, not having heard of any of these, I would imagine these are some slightly deeper cuts than usual.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm just not informed about this particular director. So, I'll try to attempt the first one. I feel like that had the ring of. But you did say the Russian Empire, which kind of a little bit confuses me.
What was then part of the Russian Empire?
I know. So this might still fit the bill. This might still be the right answer. Is it Nokia by any chance?
It is Nokia. So now what's the second? Then the surname.
There's somebody's surname starts with KIA.
Or OKIA or NOKIA, of course.
Could be more than 3 letters, right? And it has to be in that order. Otherwise, I would have said like Kurosawa. But again, Kurosawa's surname doesn't start with KIA. Akira is wow, I can't even place which country this is from.
I mean, I can give you the country name as a hint if that helps.
I doubt it because I've not even heard of these movies, so I might have not heard of this director.
The director is from Iran.
It's an Iranian director.
Yeah.
Man, I just know that one Iranian director, the guy who has made Farhadi, Asghar Farhadi.
Okay, so he's from the kind of the earlier batch than Asghar Farhadi. Asghar Farhadi is much more known.
Farhadi is much more recent, in the 2000s.
Then probably you don't know him.
This is my cultural blind spot glaring right now because I have not watched enough Iranian films. No, I highly doubt I'd get this answer. Do you wanna either give the answer to me or give me some much more significant hint?
His first name is Abbas, if that helps. So
yeah, okay. You know what? I give up. Just give me the name. I have no idea.
Abbas Kiarostami. I don't know if you've heard of him or not. Kiarostami, yeah. Kiarostami. So, I mean, again, I've heard of his name in passing. I've not seen, but I think Close Up is one of his favorites. And The Taste of Cherry is the one that won the Palme d'Or. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. I will check this out. This sounds like a good pop culture recommendation. Abbas Kiarostami? How do you say it? Kiarostami, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, that was a fun question. So moving on, my question takes us to Stanford University and a professor there who, along with his graduate student, came up with this formula. W equals alpha R over R bar log T bar over log T. If any of our audience members don't know what that is, hold on till the end of this question because you can Google once you know what the answer is. Yeah.
Okay. So W is typically what you can use it for work. It's this thing. But in this case, you said Stanford professor. So I mean, the thing that comes to mind immediately when you say Stanford professor, and this seems to be related to something to temperature, because capital T is typically temperature, and then there is something with the radius. Is this by any chance the Fermi paradox?
Oh, no.
Okay.
It's nothing that fancy, but it is important in some way. So I'll tell you what actually the letters stand for. T is time.
Okay.
W is actually a score. And W is a word that is derived from the name of the professor. So I've not given you the name of the professor. I can give you that as a first hint.
Okay.
So literally, the last name of the professor starts with the letter W,
Okay.
and that name
Hmm.
plus the word score is what we are trying to calculate.
Okay.
And that score is equal to alpha R over R bar, log T bar over log T. T is time. I have not told you what R is. That also would be a hint. So I'll tell you R maybe as we go along. Alpha is a scaling constant.
Okay. It's proportional to R over logarithmic as well. So something scale W. Stanford professor with his graduate student. And the problem is that's a very it's one of those things that is like just insanely those combinations. There's so many Stanford professors like graduate students who've done like I don't know probably great things, but
Fair enough. Yeah, it's a broad category.
maybe give me R.
Do you want R or do you want the name of the professor?
No, give me R.
Okay, it's the compression ratio.
Okay. Something leads me to compression ratio time. Is this? You said W is the name of the professor though, because and that's score, right? So I'm thinking of Shannon's information theorem and things like that right now. Something to do with that. But you said compression ratio, right?
I'll advise you.
Yeah.
What Vineet does with me is what you should probably do is try to play me rather than play the question.
Yeah.
What is something I'd be interested in? What kind of stuff? I'll tell you more specifically. Pop culture is the field that we are currently concerned with.
Compression ratio. So W is the name of the professor. So something to do with the ratio over time, and it's a logarithmic scale. But what?
All right. Do you want another hint, HK?
Yeah.
I'll tell you the name of the professor, and I'll tell you the graduate student also, though that doesn't matter much.
Yeah.
The name of the professor was Saki, I think. T-S-A-C-H-Y, Saki Wiseman. And the student is Vineet Misra. So it's the Wiseman score.
Wiseman. Again, why is that so? I feel like I've heard of this somewhere. Wiseman score, compression with time. Is it something that happened recently, or like is it something that's in the news recently?
Not recently, no.
Wiseman score. Is this the Pied Piper thingy that? Yeah, Silicon Valley. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So I have to give you credit because Silicon Valley, the show, I only watched because you recommended it highly. So that's why I thought you would be the perfect person to ask this question for. So any fans of the show Silicon Valley would know that the show is about a tech startup based in the Bay Area. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to come up with a piece of software, a piece of compression tool, which should compress anything like a document or any digital file. They're trying to compress it. And Wiseman's score is something that the producers of the show developed to kind of make it easy for the audience to understand that, oh, their particular product is better than XYZ other product, and so on and so forth. But because they wanted a level of authenticity to it, they actually approached this particular professor at Stanford University and asked him to develop a proper algorithm, a proper formula for Wiseman's score. And Saki Wiseman and Vineet Misra came up with this. And that's how they came up with the name Wiseman score, because the professor at Stanford University who complied to the request was Saki Wiseman. And that is the formula. You can go Google Wiseman score and you'll know what it sounds like or what it's supposed to be. And the Wiseman score has been used by Dropbox folks to explain real world work on lossless compression. So this is also to tickle the tech nerd in HK and the Silicon Valley fan in HK. So both hopefully were achieved. Well done. Pretty quickly cracked. I was recently visiting our mutual friend in Singapore, Sai. And Sai and his wife were sitting and watching this TV show. And that's when it just occurred to me. I was just like, interesting. Let's Google where this comes from. Is it an actual thing? And yeah, that's how I came up with this particular piece of trivia. So HK, your turn.
Okay. So another word smash question only. That's going to be the theme of my day. So what was finally proved to be an impossible problem when pi was proven to be transcendental by Ferdinand von Lindemann in 1882? This was one of the three geometric problems of antiquity and was perhaps first attempted by this mathematician probably called Anaxagoras. Okay. Do you know what transcendental means, by the way, just to be clarified?
I actually, no, I'm not sure. Transcendental, like in transcendentalism, I know.
Transcendental numbers. I think pi and e are classic examples. Essentially, you can never express it as a root of a non-zero polynomial with integer coefficients. So essentially, like there is no way to represent it as some irrational numbers, for example, right? It's a special class of irrational numbers you can think of.
Oh, got it.
So like square root of 2, for example, is the root of, like, there's an algebraic expression that you can. But for pi and e, for example, you can never express them as a root of any polynomial with integer coefficients, basically. So that's why they're called transcendental numbers. There's a particular term for this problem, was proved to be impossible, essentially, when pi was proven to be transcendental. Okay. And then the second part is Lebohang-Morake, known as Lebo-M, provided the opening vocals in Zulu for which song that served as a 1994 film's opening song?
The second part of the question is the name of the song, right?
Yes, the name of the song. Yeah. So, I mean, if you can guess the movie, the name of the song should be fairly obvious.
Yeah, because you said Zulu and 1994. I'm assuming it's Circle of Life.
Okay. So, which means the first one is?
So CIR or CIRC or whatever, Circle, something along those lines is the last part of it. And it was proven what? What was proven? Because of the transcendentalism of pi?
It's like basically a phrase that encapsulates this mathematical problem. And this was proven to be impossible because pi is transcendental. It is a very common, like once I tell you the answer, it's going to be like, like it's almost like an idiom now. You can, not exactly an idiom, it's a phrase that you can, it's a phrase that you'll definitely have heard of.
Okay.
So it's a problem that's been known from antiquity. So it's a very old problem. So you can imagine, you kind of know one other thing, right? Like, so you saw the second answer, circle of life, and pi is always associated with what geometric object?
So I'm assuming it has something like area of a circle or a...
So area of circle, we know the solution to, but there's something...
Oh, I know it. Is it a phrase? Because you said it's such a common thing.
Yeah.
Is it you can't square a circle?
Yes, squaring the circle was proven to be impossible.
Oh, it's because you can't square a circle because a circle can't be the square root. My God, that's insane. I didn't even know this was actual geometry thing. Oh yeah, wow. That's really cool. Okay. Wow. Tell me a little bit more about this problem though. What does it mean, like in terms of geometry? Like you can't square a circle. What does it exactly mean?
The challenge of constructing a square with the area of a given circle by using only a finite number of steps with a compass and straight edge. So essentially, given an area, which is pi r square, can you construct that same area with a combination of squares? And of course, because pi is involved, like, if you could do that in a finite steps, that would essentially mean that pi can be expressed as a combination of polynomials. But because it's transcendental, you can never, with a finite number of steps, you can never end up with the exact area of a circle using just squares.
Interesting. It reminds me of that phrase, circle gets the square, which comes from Hollywood Squares, an American game show from the 70s, which was basically a combination of tic-tac-toe and Trivial Pursuit. And if a correct answer was given by somebody playing for the circle team, then the host would often respond by saying, circle gets the square. It's very interesting that two such similar sounding phrases are so different. Yeah, I love it. Very cool. Okay, that was a fun question. I'm surprised I was able to crack it, but okay. Speaking of theories being proven and disproven, I'm going to describe something to you and you tell me what theory did this particular natural phenomenon, or, well, not so much natural, but which a phenomenon help prove, okay? The German word Pfeilstorch, I guess, I'll spell it out for you, Pfeilstorch, is a stork that is injured by an arrow or a spear.
Okay.
As of 2003, about 25 Pfeilstorch have been documented in Germany. What did Pfeilstorches, or whatever the plural of that is, I guess it's Pfeilstorch, helped prove? What theory or what particular thing that was not proven before did Pfeilstorches help prove?
So in 2003, I think this theory was proven a while back, right? It's not that recent.
Yeah.
I've come across this, I think, in either Atlas Obscura or some of these podcasts. It's basically bird migration, because till now, you never had evidence of, like, it's the same bird that goes from the same place to another place. And I think this is like something they were able to identify with the arrow or whatever it was shot with, and like that's only found, or that wood is only found in a certain place in the southern hemisphere or whatnot. And yeah,
My God, you make such a mockery of my questions. It's embarrassing, but yes, it is the right answer because Pfeilstorch were the reason that migration was proven, and it's so interesting because you take these things for granted now, and you know that this is just common knowledge. That there was a time when people were confused as to why the birds used to just disappear during the
yeah,
winter months in Europe, and as it so happens that while winter was in Europe, they would migrate to Africa or some other warmer part of the globe. And they might be injured by an arrow or a spear there, and of course, made with trees there and whatever
yeah.
not. And then when they would come back, they might still have it. If they didn't die, they might still have it. And they realized this much later because before migration, do you want to take a wild guess as to what people thought was happening to the birds?
There's like all these crazy things, right? Like I don't know whether it's that same, the whole heron carrying baby stuff. Also, they thought they would go, they do caves, they would go into caves. That was probably one theory.
I think that sounds like a reasonable theory, yeah, because going into the cave
Yeah,
is probably not that insane. There were other theories that turned into other kinds of birds, like they would just change into another bird, like I don't know, some Pokemon
yeah, yeah,
thing
yeah.
happening there, or they would turn into mice,
Oh,
or they were hibernating underwater during the winter. And that sounds so ridiculous. And I wonder, that just truly makes me wonder what all things do we believe today that in a 200 years' time, 100 years' time, people are going to be like, how did people in 2024 think that this was even remotely scientific? But yeah, people back in the 17th and 18th century, I think around 17th century, they still had these beliefs. And the first and the most famous Pfeilstorch was a white stork found in 1822 near the German village of Klutz. And it was carrying a 75 centimeter spear from Central Africa in its neck. That's pretty insane.
yeah. That it survived and made it back. Yeah,
Yeah, just like a badass carrying it back from Africa all the way to, as if it's not already a huge deal that you're flying back from Africa to Europe. You're also
yeah,
doing it with sticking a 75 centimeter spear in you. It's pretty much the same size of the bird.
yeah.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, he noted this particular gentleman, Ernst Schuss, who documented a number of these birds with arrows stuck to them. He noted in 1969 that sightings of birds with embedded arrows had declined because of the replacement of bows and arrows by guns.
Another reason why we should go back to bows and arrows, from guns.
Just to chance that you might prove some natural
Yeah,
phenomenon.
yeah. See, the world was a much better place. Yeah, but
Hawk, I would agree. All right.
yeah.
Okay. HK, your turn.
Okay, so this is I mean I'm not sure if this is your strongest suit in terms of history and whatnot, but I'm fairly certain you can get this. So and I mean, this question holds kind of a special place close to me because my teammate, both of us have actually been to the place that's referenced in the question, and so and we particularly remember this fact because it's a very common thing, and I'll tell you what the question is. The question is, which species of tree native to an island nation is found in abundance in the central Indian city of Mandu? So much so that the fruits are known as Mandu ki imli. That's the first question. Okay. The second question is, how do we better know the eldest son of Umar Sheikh Mirza II, the governor of Fargana? Born Zahiruddin Muhammad, we know him better by a feline name.
Did you say by a feline name?
Feline.
Tiger.
No. I'll read out the second question again. How do we better know the eldest son of Umar Sheikh Mirza II, the governor of Fargana? Born Zahiruddin Muhammad, we know him better by a feline.
I was thinking Tiger Pataudi, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Then I'm thinking something like Sher Khan, something like that. Is it? Am I close?
When you say Sher Khan, or which Sher Khan, there are so many. So, like, this
I of course mean the one from the Jungle Book.
and yeah, then you're a few centuries off. Yeah, if you're thinking Jungle Book.
Okay, but I'm assuming it's something Sher. If it is Sher, that means the first part of the question has to end with SHE, SH.
I am not confirming that it's Sher, by the way.
Okay, I'm going off of that tangent. If not, then I'm completely off. We also mentioned the Imli of Mandu.
So it's called Mandu ki imli. This species of tree, which is native to an island nation, is found in abundance in Mandu. So Mandu is where, for example, that's the connection. Like I visited Mandu a year ago.
Is it only found on that island nation and in Mandu, or is it also in other places? Just
So it's native to that island nation. Now it's spread away from the
got it.
island nation.
Mandu ki imli. I'm trying to think of something that would either in taste or shape or form be close to tamarind. Is it by any chance dates? But dates are not from an island nation, so
No. Some of these things it's very difficult to trace the ancestry of. This one we know for sure because it's an island nation. It's a very old island also, right? It's a very interesting island ecologically speaking. This tree was native to that island, and now it's been introduced in other regions, including Mandu, where it's very famous, and it's like a landmark there almost. The second one, I don't know if you. I would say focus on Fargana, and the hint I'll give you is Fargana is now in modern day Uzbekistan. Yeah.
oh, that that hint just makes it much tougher for me.
It will not really. If you remember your Indian history, this should not be particularly difficult at all. Because
Okay, we have
Fargana in Uzbekistan and born Zahiruddin Muhammad.
Zahiruddin Muhammad. What? If not Sher, what other feline name can you have?
Okay, maybe the feline is throwing you off. Just think Zahiruddin Muhammad, Uzbekistan. Zahiruddin, what kind of a name is it? And what would you like? Who should you be thinking of?
Zahiruddin Muhammad, Uzbekistan. So I'm assuming it is some sort of a Middle Eastern ruler who came into India, either invaded and conquered.
Uzbekistan is not Middle Eastern, by the way.
Central Asian, all right.
Uzbekistan is Central Asian. A big difference.
Central Asian. My knowledge of Uzbekistan is limited to the fact that its capital is Tashkent. Okay, no.
Okay.
Let me try this. This is it's not none of your Ghazni and all of those guys, and none of those Afghan rulers either. Was Babur from Uzbekistan? Ooh, is it Babur?
It is Babur. Yeah. Zahiruddin Muhammad Babur. Yeah.
Zahiruddin Muhammad Babur. Wow. HK almost popped a nerve. I just saw him almost pop a nerve.
Yeah.
He was watching me struggle with it.
Fargana, Samarkand, twice he tried to capture Samarkand, failed, then came to Kabul, and then came to, Uzbekistan.
That is true. Yeah, I should really read up and brush up on my Indian history. But okay, Babur.
Okay.
Babur. Oh, so Babur. Oh, is it that? I think it's B. So then there's a BAB letter which is in common. From Madagascar, the baobab.
Yes, it's the baobab tree. Yeah.
Wait, those trees are found in central India?
In Mandu, yes. Everywhere. Yes, the iconic baobab trees are found everywhere.
Oh, those are like that's the first thing I think of when I think of Madagascar. That and the movie. Okay. Wow, interesting. Baobabs are in India. That really blows my mind. You saw these, huh? When you were there.
Yes. And it's mentioned also. I mean, there's nothing historical about them per se, but it has been introduced probably most likely by the British, I presume. But yeah.
I'm looking at the picture and they do look slightly different though from the Madagascar version of the baobab. But yeah, I can see the resemblance.
I mean, perhaps the adaptation is
because if you see the classical baobab, it has that very umbrella sort of feature, right? Like it is only at the very top are there branches and like a very long sort of.
Correct, but you'll see that here also. That tall and this thing you will see.
Wow. Okay, baobabs are in India. That is my TIL for this episode. Okay. From that lovely piece of TIL moment, I'm going to ask you hopefully something that you will remember because this was my favorite piece of trivia when I was drawing up the questions. And this brings us to the United States of America, to Bronx in New York specifically. Theodore Livingston. Are you familiar with this name?
Theodore Livingston? No.
Okay. Theodore Livingston had a certain hobby, and I'm talking about 1975 here, had a certain hobby that was rather noisy. Furious with the noise, his mum one afternoon entered the room and told Theodore to stop it. To stop it, and or she's going to shut this entire thing down, shut the entire operation down.
Yeah.
According to Theodore, while his mum was standing in the doorway scolding him, he had just temporarily paused the entire thing, but not like stopped it completely. And because he had paused it, a certain sound emanated That has become iconic today.
Okay.
What sound is Theodore known for, or what sound did Theodore Livingston come up with in 1975?
Multiple directions. One thing that comes to mind is DJs and like the record scratch. That's one thing that comes to mind.
Don't even bother with any other answer, HK. You have already gotten the right answer. Man, that was too quick. I tried to make that so hard. I tried to make it so hard, but yes. Theodore Livingston was a budding DJ. His older brother was his mentor who had taught him DJing at a very young age. So Theodore used to love doing this in his room, and his mom, just annoyed at the noise, came into the room one day and told him to lower the volume or she's going to just turn off the music. And he, while listening to his mom scold, just held the record down with his hand, and just then he heard that rubbing back and forth caused the scratching sound. And after his mother left, Theodore realized he liked the sound and thought it would be a good idea to incorporate it into his DJing. So the DJ scratch, the very, very iconic okay, I can't do the sound, but that sound is credited to Theodore Livingston's moment in his childhood when he was trying to DJ and his mom scolded him. So mums, go ahead and scold your kids. You never know what cool thing might come out of it. He gained credibility, by the way, for his mastery of needle drops and other techniques, also which he invented and perfected. So he's pretty well known.
Right.
He's better known as the Grand Wizard Theodore. So if you're a DJ enthusiast, you might have heard of the Grand Wizard Theodore. Yeah. That is Theodore Livingston. He was, by the way, only 12 years old when he came up with this, because he was born in 1963 and this happened in 1975.
Oh, damn. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, HK, the last question of the episode. On to you.
Okay. I'm going to pull on something that I know we both enjoy as well. Another common thing that I think is mentioned before also. It's this game called Age of Mythology. So this question relates to Greek mythology, one of the questions at least. So the first part is, which actress's first role was portraying Bridget Vreeland in the 2005 movie Sisterhood of the Traveling Pant?
Okay.
Though most people remember her for her fashionably iconic role in the TV series adapted from the book series by Cecily von Ziegesar.
Okay.
Now, this is the first question. The second question is, known as the Isles of the Blessed in the Hesiod, what is the Greek idea of the paradisical afterlife, where the souls of the heroic and the virtuous reside?
So the first one pertains to an actor, an actress specifically, I think you said specifically, yeah.
Yeah, whose first role was Bridget Vreeland.
And the second one that it smashes into is the...
Basically, it's a term for the Greek idea of afterlife, Greek idea of paradise, where the souls of the heroic and the virtuous reside.
Greek paradise, because as you mentioned, Age of Mythology, I think I was more of a Norse fan. And so the Norse mythology, I think that thing is called...
Ragnarok. Ragnarok is that's the day the world ends in Norse mythology.
Okay, so I was thinking Ragnarok, but no. So Greek.
I'm very certain that you've heard the second answer definitely, if not in the Greek mythology context, but in like another context.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure if it is AOM related, I have heard it because I have.
Yeah, this term is specifically mentioned in AOM. I don't think this term is specifically mentioned in Age of Mythology itself, but this.
Okay, then I've not heard it.
No, you 100% heard it, not in the AOM context. 100% you've heard.
Okay. But let's talk about the actor first, because that might be the easier. You said Sister of the Traveling Pants was her first role, but she's well known for a TV adaptation of.
Basically, it's a fashionably iconic role in a TV series, which was adapted from the book series by Cecily von Ziegesar. I can maybe give you that if that is helpful. Yeah.
I think I've heard of the name of this person. Is it Gossip Girl? Are we talking Blake Lively?
Yes, which means the second answer is
Blake Lively, VLY, Elysium. Is it Elysium?
It is Elysium.
Oh, okay. I had not heard it in the AOM context, but I've heard of Elysium, obviously.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, I did not know that. This is a Greek idea of heaven, right?
Paradise, afterlife. So because
paradise,
it's not like,
paradise,
because in Greek, afterlife, there are multiple, like Hades is of course well known.
Right.
So where there's most people end up in like this, it's called, I think there's a particular term for it also. It's a field, endless field where you just stand around in eternity. And then the few are tortured in Tartarus, where for your sins and whatnot. And then the blessed, the virtuous are given the halls of Elysium. And even within Elysium, I think there's an even more exclusive quarter for the, that's how it goes.
Oh, man. privilege never ends. Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
Elysium, that's where it comes from. Lovely. Wow. Okay. If you had given the hint of a Matt Damon movie,
Yeah, that's it. That would have been a given. That's why I said you 100% you know the term Elysium.
because Neil Blomkamp's first film is still one of my favorite films when it comes to science fiction and some realistic portrayals of science fiction.
Yep.
District 9. But yeah, okay, wow, fun question. Elysium and Blake Lively. I like it. Very cool. This was a fun format. It was
Yeah.
two questions combined into one with a lovely bridge there, quite literally.
Yeah.
Thank you for introducing this format, HK. And that brings us to the end of this episode. And as always, this is where we do a little bit of a pop culture recommendation round. So, HK, you want to hit us with any pop culture recommendations you might have?
I have two book recommendations and one TV anime recommendation. One book recently was called the Blast Anthology of Tamil Pulp Fiction. I particularly read volume 2. Just it's like, it's so nice to go back to like Pulp Fiction after like, reading your normal fiction and whatnot, because it's so easy. It's so easy to read. It's a pleasure. And that's why pulp is pulp, right? Like, there's nothing quite like a good murder mystery or a supernatural thriller to get you to just like, a real page turner. So this publishing house called Blast, and in general, they do a lot of work on elevating some of the sort of lesser known voices that are probably a big part of many people's lives, but had not gotten the recognition because they're based, in their particular languages. So, for example, the Tamil one it's beautifully, some of the stories are wonderful, and it's not like you have to be Tamil to know the references or whatnot, because, like murder, intrigue, mysteries, universal themes. They have, I think, another anthology, which is Gujarati Pulp Fiction, and they have a few other books. I think one of the books that they're very well known for is this entire collection of folk tales, monsters, and myths in India. Like it's a kind of an encyclopedia of like different tales. Blast Publications, check them out. They're a small publishing house based out of Chennai, I think, but you can order online and whatnot. And another one was this short story collection called The Greatest Malayalam Stories Ever Told. So this is published by Aleph. The series is like, the greatest blank ever told. So they have, I think, some 10 other languages so far. There is greatest Tamil stories ever told, Punjabi, Urdu, Bengali, Assamese, if I'm not mistaken, Telugu and whatnot. So check them out. Again, you're fairly certain you'll get them in your local bookstore or Amazon. Aleph publishing The Greatest Blank Stories Ever Told. Again, wonderful 50 stories that span like the kind of entirety of Malayalam short story culture, which is probably one of the older ones in India too. So I think the earliest stories are from early 20th century, late 19th century, and then the stories span all the way up to kind of present age. And you see the themes kind of differ, and like some things stays the same, some things change. So it's a wonderful way to kind of learn about a little bit about another culture as well. So those are the two kind of book recommendations. And I'm still not finished this, but I'm watching this anime called Monster, which I think Vineet will definitely approve of. I know he's mentioned this earlier. It's just very slow burn, like psychological, dark, slightly depressing anime. You can't watch multiple at the same time. But maybe I'll give a different one, which is maybe a little more lighthearted. I'm a big fan of this thing. I know that again I've mentioned it or not. It's Midnight Diner. It's a series on Netflix. It's a wonderful. That's the opposite of everything I said about Monster. It's a very lovely TV series. Technically, kind of an anthology. Like the characters repeat, but it's not like collection of stories. So the premise is very simple. There's this guy, a chef. That's all his master is what everyone calls him. He runs this diner understandably from midnight to 7 a.m. And every episode revolves around like, the people who come to that diner, what are the dishes they order, what's going on in their life. And it's a very sort of wonderful slice of life. It's a nice thing to kind of settle down to when you're eating your dinner or you're watching something. So those are my recommendations.
I love it because I have heard of them, and Midnight Diner is actually something my sister loves. So she introduced it to me a few years ago, and I enjoyed it. I haven't watched all of it, but it felt just very nice, just a heartwarming thing to be watching. Yeah. Chicken soup for the soul, I guess, in some way.
Yeah, definitely. Tantan men ramen for the soul.
Ramen for the soul, yeah. I'm going to recommend, actually the first one that comes to mind is District 9, which is the Neil Blomkamp film that I was talking about before Elysium. And Elysium is not bad, but District 9 is such a good film. You absolutely must do yourself a favor and watch it. Speaking of heartwarming stuff, I am going to recommend something that maybe all of us have watched at least partly. And if you have, then it's time to revisit it. It's the Pixar short films. Such beautiful films. They're all available online and you can go watch them, and they don't even take that much time. We perhaps sometimes don't give enough credit to short films as a form of art because feature films take over the interest. But Pixar short films are just beautiful short films, all of them. And I'm going to name just the few that I love the most, though all of them are pretty great. Presto, one of my absolute favorite ones. Presto is just so funny. Lovely film. Piper. Piper is photorealistic and it's just some of the most beautiful animation that I've seen from Pixar. So Piper is one of them. Bao, it's absolutely heartwarming. It has this lovely Asian story attached to it, which I guess I relate to because I've had friends who are Chinese, so I get that. Two more that I'd recommend: Day and Night. I think it was the first one that I still remember seeing. It was very new and very interesting and felt very refreshing as a animated film. And the last one I'd recommend is Partly Cloudy. So all of these are short films from Pixar, but trust me, every single of the originals from Pixar are great. Some of them are tied into like their movies also, something from Inside Out and something from Wall-E and something from the rest of their franchises. Go check those all out. Go watch all of the Pixar short films, but these are my top recommendations of the Pixar short films that I love. And that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much, HK, joining us one more time at the very last minute, but you delivered. And how? I love these questions. I love the format. I might bring it back and I might bring it to Vineet one of these days. If any of our audience members have any questions to contribute, please go ahead and do so. You can reach us on our Instagram at Are You Quizzing Me or on our email, which is areyouquizzingme@gmail.com. If you want to address a specific question to one of us, you can put the name of the quizmaster. You can put Aditya or Vineet, or you know what, give it to HK also, and we'll let HK know whenever he next appears. Because I imagine it won't be that far off. So yeah, address a question to any of the quizmasters that you would like for them to ask. Rate us, review us, but I think most importantly, share it with somebody who you think might enjoy any of these trivia questions or trivia in general, because that's the best way and the easiest way for us to grow. And that brings us to the end of the episode. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.